daggers off your tongue, young and dumb, I'm rotting like a bed sore. In a cold case that's never gonna be more than scratching at the walls while you're waiting for a bullet to come. All along I've been treading in the deep end, throw my mirror in the cupboard for the weekend. Try and put together pieces while I'm dreaming, but nothing's adding up to a thing but a hole in the head.
An opportunity here to provide leadership, support, and a voice to the voiceless. The sacrifices that we made during our service do not end here. We carry on, we push forward, and we give hope and inspiration through love, community, and support. Stay free.
Rights and freedoms in this country are absolutely everything to me, because I personally know the sacrifice required in order to get them back once they're gone. So, when my brothers and sisters call Stand 2, be sure I'll be there.
Legacy media will play their games, right? Like, this isn't about this or that. This is about freedom, period.
The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Brothers and sisters, you know, whether you're a police officer, military, check your hearts. Look where we're going. Man, wake up. I beg you.
If the veterans can't stand up and get a message across to the government, I don't know who can. I don't know. But we're going to give it our best shot. And I think we have a chance to win this and do it. But we need your help. And we need you to come, and we need you to stand too. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk again soon.
Woke pirates, yes, they're robbing, sold out to the merchant ships. minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. My head was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. Got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. Got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs, redemption songs. It's all I ever have. Redemption songs, redemption songs, redemption songs.
Hey, what's up, troops? Jeff Evely, the Magnanimous GenX'er Male. I'm back with you now on this 18th day of March 2024. Got a great show lined up for you on this Monday. It's a Muckraker Monday. Our friend Chris Dacey is backstage, and all kinds going on out there as usual. I think I'll go ahead and say good morning to everybody before we go ahead and dive into it, or afternoon, wherever you are. It's afternoon where I am. But we'll say good day. How about that? Shiloh's over on Rumble saying, good morning, Sergeant Major. Hope everyone is ready to hear the answers. It should be a great episode. Yeah, the important questions, I think. The tough questions are being asked out there by Canada's favorite muckraker, Chris Dacey. And we'll get into that here when we bring him in a minute. And Andrew is letting everybody know, share. Yes, please. Everybody give me some top cover here. I am the worst guy for not promoting my own stuff. Brian is saying blessings from Ontario. Oh, Ontario. Hey, I hope you got a motorcycle. Colleen says, hello, freedom lovers. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you, Colleen. Cindy, our most faithful of all watchers, says, good afternoon, Jeff. Hertz, good day, friends. Good afternoon to you. Rob is saying good morning because he's a little further west. And he says, good morning, Jeff, Chris, and Patriots, bigots across the interweb, and giving us the victory, the Maple Leaf, and the triple slashy right back at you, brother. Thanks for always being with us. And Patricia's here, as usual, saying good afternoon and giving us the hearts. We got a Bravo Zulu from Merrick, Dutch. Thank you very much. And let's see, Darlene is here, as always, saying good afternoon to all you fine folks tuning in from New Brunswick. And we got a quadruple heart from Darlene. Thank you very much. And James, our brother Bullock, is over there on YouTube saying good afternoon, Chris, Jeff, and all other Patriots listening. Enjoy that while it lasts. The YouTube, that is. My personal channel, I got another strike. I have 2 now, so it's going to get nuked anytime soon. I can't stream to my personal channel, and I just saw something come into the V4F inbox there that says we've been completely demonetized on the V4F channel on YouTube. Not that we were making any money to begin with, really, but anyway, this is the financial prong in the unrestricted warfare, I guess. Unrestricted warfare being that book that a couple of Chinese generals wrote. The 5-pronged strategy of unrestricted warfare is the lawfare, finance, cyber, media, and terrorism. So I think that's what we're up against here, guys, is we're being attacked financially, even though we didn't have any finances to begin with. Okay, so here is Evelyn saying hello all. Hello to you. Stephanie says, morning, friends. Triple slash, no voice today, so homeschooling is pretty quiet. Sounds peaceful. Oh my God. Okay, I'm terrible. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this here, and we'll get Chris in here momentarily. So here is our philosophy quote for the day. This is Aristotle, the philosopher, as he was known for centuries, all over the Western world. And he says, at his best, man is the noblest of animals, separated from law and justice. He is the worst. And we are getting quite a taste of that throughout the current crisis era, as we can see. All the worst people are really showing themselves, and so are all the best people. And we have one of the best with us here backstage, Chris Dacey, coming in momentarily, and of course, many of the best in the chats this morning. So that is kind of the great part about all this. The silver lining in all this is that we get to meet all the greatest Canadians alive as they come to the fore. And here is our meme for the day, and he says, "Just curious. How many countries tax the shit out of their citizens so they can send money to Canada?" Great question, because that's exactly what we're doing on an ongoing basis, and it's just incredible. All right, I'll go ahead and bring our favorite muckraker in here now. Chris Dacey, how you doing this morning, afternoon there, brother?
Yeah, doing pretty good. I thought it was spring here in Ottawa. We're getting a snowstorm, but just a little reminder that we're not quite there yet. But I think we'll be there soon.
It's still Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying like some very mild temperatures out here on the Atlantic coast, actually. But and everybody, it's kind of the same thing every year, though. Like we go through this period where we've got this warm weather, and then we're going to get hit with like one more incredible dump before it's all over. And everybody's going to say, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened." And I'm like, "This is what happens every year, guys."
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's hot or cold either, right? They need to tax us about it. That'll solve it all. April 1st, another tax.
Yeah. The weather should get a lot cooler after April 1st since the carbon taxes are going up. So I thought I'd start us off because there's a lot going on there. There's a couple of the trials. Tamara Lich and Chris Barber are back in Ottawa, and you were there hanging out with those guys and everything. So I thought I'd start us off with a little bit of good news. This is hot off the presses, everybody. Jeremy McKenzie. I grabbed this from his Facebook account because he's banned from X. Again, and Jeremy saying, just departing Supreme Court, having had a 4th out of 5 criminal cases against me withdrawn. The latest was for a set of 12 firearms charges in January of 2022 after RCMP raided my family home. I declared my innocence from the outset and have maintained the position that this case is politically motivated attack on my reputation and meant to demoralize, bankrupt, and punish me for my criticisms of the RCMP of state behavior. Once again, I am unable to prove my innocence and put on display the many troubling and disturbing facts of this attack on myself in full open trial. However, I believe that the continued disintegration of the state's campaign against me speaks for itself. I have so far been charged 19 times and defeated every last one, thanks to the courageous support from all of you that believed in me, which granted me the ability to retain who I believe to be the one of the top defense lawyers in the nation, Mr. Sharif Foda. And he was really good in court when I saw him. The property will be returned in the coming months as Morgan and I press on with our remaining matter from our protest demonstration in March of 2022. That was with the one with the Strang Act, came on the heels of that. If you do not shrink from the confrontation and do not let yourselves be intimidated, the obstacles that seem to be overwhelming can be defeated handedly. Now I will join another milkshake at my inept enemy's expense, as I'm sure they and many detractors and ship jumpers must choke down a fourth serving of crow pie, exactly as I warned them they would do. Thank you for all your continued love and support and resisting the comprehensive and sustained media narrative attack on myself. I'm ironically quite thankful for this experience, as it has made it quite clear who my real friends are. The kind of solidarity and strength in our shared community cannot be bought. Pro Patria. Yeah, well said, Jeremy. I mean, this is just another one of these dominoes that I think are falling as of late. We've been getting more and more victories kind of rolling in so far in the 2024 year. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, they're definitely starting to pile up. I think you hit on something there in your intro too. And one of those things you listed off was lawfare. This is something that the system is being used not the way it was designed. It's being used to attack and to scare and to get people to sit down instead of stand up and express their voices. And Jeremy hit on something important there too, that they drag this process out as long as possible, and before he gets to provide evidence and to show what these people have done, they dismiss it because they don't want the truth getting out there. Right? This was all an absolute farce. And if he ended up getting his real day in court, he could have put some stuff on the record and proved some things that the government and the RCMP and the powers that be really don't want out there. And I've found that seems to be the case in a lot of these various cases going on, especially when people have some real solid evidence they could put on. People don't. The government doesn't want that on the record. The RCMP don't want a spotlight on what they've done. The Liberal government or the provincial governments don't want anybody knowing the kind of abuse and the way they're weaponizing the justice system. So I think that's very, very good point you made there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I saw that too. Like I went out and I took the charges and stuff like that, not wearing the mask. I got arrested a couple of times. I got fined. I got kicked out of places, all that stuff. Filed all my complaints. That's still making its way through. But it's a really greasy kind of underhanded tactic because they wait until the final hour. I had this happen in two of my cases. So, well, the only two cases they really have here in Nova Scotia for the mask violations. And I spent all this time like preparing this defense. I consulted with all kinds of people, and I wrote everything myself. It was like a big, thick freaking binder, charter application, and all this stuff. And then at the last minute, like 2 days before I'm set to go into court, withdrawn. So you don't even get your day in court because they withdraw the charges, and now there's nothing to go to court over. So they sure don't want any of this stuff going on the record. I think getting on the public record.
Yeah, definitely. And luckily we have people that are fighting this. And we saw BFRAF member there, Eddie Cornell, in that big case that him and others brought forward. Now we've seen that he's going forward with a group of people suing Trudeau, suing all kinds of people. So it may take some time, but eventually we will get this stuff on the record. People will know. It'll be official. They can't hide from it forever. And this stuff will get on the record, and eventually accountability will come. I think it's not the wheels of justice don't go quick, but they are moving. And hopefully with Eddie and all these other people that are bringing these cases forward, we're going to get this stuff on the record, and then it's going to be impossible for people to ignore.
Yeah. Otherwise, like it's all just a shakedown, right? Like that seems to be
100%.
They abuse all the authorities at their fingertips, and then when accountability time comes, it's like, oh, it's withdrawn. We're withdrawing it. So it's a complete shakedown. Speaking of people being shook down, here's Chris and Tamara Lich. She says, "Welcome back to Ottawa, Tamara. Thank you." And also, of course, there is her co-defendant, I guess. Trigger warning. Welcome back to Ottawa, Chris. So Dacey got together with Chris Barber and Tamara Lich there when they were coming back to Ottawa for their ongoing trial. That's quite the legal saga they got going on in Ottawa. Well, not even right now. It's back on a pause, isn't it, Chris? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's adjourned again. So it had been, it had been quite some time since they were back in Ottawa. They came in last week, scheduled for 3 days. Really, not much of anything happened. A lot of legal arguments, and it's been adjourned again now till August. So we're going to be looking at well over a year on this case by the time it's all said and done. This week we did hear that the defense, so the Crown has closed their arguments. It was moving on to, there's still legal arguments. There's the Carter application was still up in the air. There's a few things up in the air. And basically the defense said that we have no more evidence to give. I guess they probably figure that the Crown has not made their case. They want to move this along. So even with that, they couldn't get the time. They couldn't come to the decisions on some of these outstanding issues, and they scheduled it now for August. They came into town. They got to travel across the country. You got to show up in person. It costs more money. There's 2 lawyer teams involved. There's the stress of all that. And just to be delayed again till August, it's can't say it's surprising, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and greasy. I mean, it's like they're trying to wear people down, and just to refresh my memory, what is the deal with the Carter application?
So the Carter application, I'm no legal expert, but a Carter application is basically to have the 2 co-accused. It kind of makes it like a conspiracy. So what one says or does applies to the other, and that's been a bone of contention throughout this case, right? So the Crown, for instance, will put up a little video, one isolated video of something, say Tamara Lich said, and then try to apply that broadly to everything. Without context too often, right? So, they'll get one statement that they think kind of makes their case when there's literally 1,000 others of Chris and Tamara both saying, keep the peace, cooperate. It's been the same message from them always. It was always, be loving, be peaceful. And the Crown has done their best to try to show evidence. But in my view, man, the evidence that the Crown has shown in the videos do not prove what they're trying to prove. If anything, they go more in favor of Chris and Tamara. Like, their messaging was consistent throughout, right? There's nothing weird there.
Yeah, no, nothing at all. What's weird is that these are mischief charges that have been ongoing. Like this is coming from 2022 now. We got 2.5 years into it, longest mischief trial in Canadian history, and apparently the prosecution has or the Crown has no evidence to offer, so they're taking a break.
Yeah, and an important thing to note through this is that because the Crown and the government are spending so much time and resources on cases like this, mischief cases, that very serious crimes and people that have been accused of very serious things are being let go because it's taking too long to go. They don't have the resources to go after and to prosecute these people necessarily, to prosecute everyone. And so there's people that have been accused of some real heinous things that are being let out on the street, basically with just a free pass, because they're going so hard at these 2 individuals charged with minor offenses.
Yeah, just incredible. But it seems like the mainstream is actually showing up for a change. So here's Dacey on the steps of the courthouse here in Ottawa. Mainstream media have made an appearance outside the courthouse as the trial of Chris Barber and Tamara Lich has resumed in Ottawa. I was already here. Yeah. Thanks for showing up, though, guys. It's about goddamn time.
CTV, TVA, CBC, and Dacey.
So, in the interest of honesty, I gave them more credit maybe than they deserve. So they were there, and some of them were covering a little bit of this. But also that day, unbeknownst to me, was the first appearance of the gentleman. I probably shouldn't use that word. The person accused in the 6 murders here in Ottawa recently. So that individual made a court appearance that day. So there was kind of a scrum for that. So there was 2 things going on. I don't know if the mainstream media would have necessarily been there had it been only for Tamara and Chris. For those who don't know, there was a brutal, gruesome murder here in Ottawa, probably a couple of weeks ago now, where somebody, I believe they were from Sri Lanka, murdered an entire family, basically. 4 children, a mother, and the father was in life-threatening condition, I believe. I don't know if he survived. So it was just an absolutely gruesome and tragic story. So that individual has made an appearance in court, their first appearance. So that was the other thing going on that day that may have drawn out the media as well.
Okay. Yeah. We don't want to give them too much credit.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And here's another shot from that. Dacey's over here saying Chris Barber and Tamara Lich arriving in the Ottawa courthouse this morning for day 37 of what was expected to be a 16-day trial. Court will continue tomorrow, and then there will be another break. It could be August before that trial resumes again. By the time it is all said and done, we will be looking at over a year. This has to be the longest mischief trial in Canadian history. The process is the punishment. That is exactly it. That is, the bottom line, I think, across all of it, whether we're talking about Jeremy McKenzie or Tamara Lich, the process is the punishment. So here's this clip. Oh, maybe it's just going to spin at me. Sometimes it does that. Try a quick refresh on that.
Paul Elon.
Oh. Yeah, here we go. All right. And it's going to do it again at me. Oh, my God. Just try it this way. Sometimes it wants me to start it in the little screen first for some reason.
You may preview only.
Really? There, take that.
Good morning. Good. Lovely day.
Gorgeous day.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Nice to see you.
Good morning. Yes.
Yeah. So
there
we go.
You
And
can see.
who's this guy?
So that's Howard Kwan. We would have seen him in some other videos where bylaws come after him to try to steal his signs and give him a hard time. Howard shows up at almost everything, and he holds that sign there upside down. For those wondering, that's because the world is upside down, and he gets a lot of people and a lot of conversations going with that sign. It's almost like a meditative process. Like he'll hold that thing up over his head for hours at a time. Sometimes it's quite an impressive feat, and he's been doing that for 2 years now. He basically makes all of our signs. It's a really big difference when you see some of the less generic protests in Ottawa. Everybody has like real fancy produced signs, and they all match. And we have some really nice signs, but they're basically all handmade by Howard and a few people helping Howard out. So when you see all these signs that we have at various events, that's Howard's handiwork.
Right. So it's not some NGO that's backing you guys that are handing out all the professionally made signs. These are the real grassroots.
Exactly.
Yeah, not hard to tell.
You could see in that as Tamara went in, she was in pretty good spirits. Chris too. Like they're incredibly resilient people. But they went in that day. They were in court for a matter of hours each day. They didn't even get full days in. So they go in, go through all this. They make a couple of arguments, and then it's an adjournment. Come back the next day, basically the same thing. On Friday, which was the third of 3 days scheduled, they were out of there before noon. I had some other stuff I was taking care of, trying to get some police reports and some complaints and stuff done. And by the time I got to the courthouse at noon, they had already adjourned and were gone. So out of the 3 days, they might have been in there for half the time out of the 3 days allotted. It's absolutely wild. The waste of resources and time and everybody's time. It's pretty wild.
It's an abuse. It's an abusive process, and it's not just a waste. Like they're using our tax dollars against us and going against everything that we've ever stood for.
And the other thing is too that when people go through all this, right, and they spend all this time and they end up for the people that end up winning, the Crown is appealing every single one of these decisions. So when somebody does, like just very recently, a Crown, there was, I believe it was like a 7-year-old gentleman in Ottawa who finally got acquitted of these ridiculous charges put against him. A 7-year-old guy, and the Crown is appealing that. It would be interesting to go back and see how many mischief charges in all of history the Crown has appealed.
Yeah, or for that matter, issued a ban from the city. I mean,
big time.
Go back until I get my charges sorted out. And since when do we ban people from Ottawa on mischief charges?
Well, that's a really big issue that's still ongoing here. So anytime anybody has any type of interaction with police at this point, they try to tag that ban on them, right? So if you get a bylaw offense, then the police come in and they try to get you with like obstructing or whatever else. They always escalate these things, and then on top of that, they tack on this 500-meter ban from Parliament. So that's effectively taking away your ability to lawfully and legally protest, which is a major concern. I don't see how any of that is above board.
No, it's not. Again, it's one of those things like they'll tie you up in the system and make you fight for the rights that were already won by generations, gone by, and now we got to regain that ground. But it's just a greasy, underhanded tactic to wear us down, bankrupt us. It's the lawfare component, I think, of the unrestricted warfare that we're being.
Yeah, and it's. Now. I'm so used to you not being allowed in Ottawa, but it's wild. Like in the start clip there, when you were walking towards Arnprior, you had to stop like 100 kilometers out of town, basically, at the Arnprior sign. I mean, I was there that day when you guys were marching, but like to me, that just still boggles my mind that they can stop a veteran, a respected veteran, well, respected by me at least, but I think your service record probably speaks for itself. And to be stopped and forbidden from entering the nation's capital or going to your memorial, to me, that's completely unconscionable.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I tend to feel the same way, of course. I'm a 2-time war veteran, and I can't go to the National War Monument in Ottawa because I offended the powers that be. So here's a little update here that Rebel News did for the Tamara Lich, Chris Barber thing. It's a pretty good explanation of what's going on here, about a 5-minute clip. Feel free to pipe up at any point if you want to add something there, Dacey, but here we go.
This covers it pretty good.
We're live? Okay, so today's going to be day 37 of the trial of Chris Barber and Tamara Lich. I'll give you a little quick recap of what happened yesterday, day 36. So yesterday, the entirety of the proceedings were dedicated to this dispute over an evidentiary exhibit sought to be admitted into the trial by the Crown. So the basic conflict is over the narrowness or breadth of the exhibit. The prosecution intends to submit a single selfie video produced, recorded by Tamara Lich, and then posted to her Facebook profile. The defense, however, specifically Eric Granger, one of Tamara Lich's co-counsel, is arguing that this evidentiary exhibit should be broadened and include other videos, selfie videos of the same style, produced by Tamara Lich and also posted to her Facebook profile in order to contextualize what she was saying in this specific video that the Crown wants to have isolated in this evidentiary exhibit. Now, why is this important? Can't the defense just submit those videos when they begin to present their arguments as a sort of exculpatory piece of evidence against whatever the Crown intends to attribute to this video? And presumably this video that the Crown wants to submit in isolation will be used to imply that she was engaging in counseling of mischief, which is one of the charges laid against her and Chris Barber. So why does it matter? I'm glad you asked. I'll answer.
Yeah, it's counseling to commit mischief. So not even really mischief, but counseling others to commit mischief.
Because if the defense is unable to persuade the judge to broaden the horizon to include the other Facebook videos that they want included in the evidentiary exhibit for context, then if they choose to submit them on their own as exhibits in their arguments, those exhibits, those videos need to be authenticated, verified. What does that mean? The person who produced those videos, Tamara Lich, their selfie videos, is subject to cross-examination. So that's a potential consequence of what's going on here. And that's can actually answer one of Amanda's questions about whether or not this whole dispute relates to her potentially getting on the stand and being subject to cross-examination. The answer, yes, it does. Now, Brian wants to make some remarks about why the application is interesting.
I think it.
That is interesting, actually, because usually when you're the defendant, you don't have to take the stand, right?
Yeah, I think that's an important note, and then again, so not only would that possibly open her up to cross-examination, whereas if they allowed them in through the Crown in context, that would be, at least it's not an isolated video. We could see what else she said. I think there may also be some ramifications as far as what if the Carter application is accepted, then evidence against Tamara would also be applicable against Chris. So I think that matters as well in this case.
Right. Yeah. Greasy stuff.
It's interesting. This is Mr. Granger's argument, and he's made a very novel argument, but I think it's just broadly more important because it's an argument about the way the Crown introduced the Facebook page, we'll call it. It was through the evidence of a police officer, and the police officer testified that she was the one who examined and looked at the Facebook posting, and she was the one who downloaded 2 of the videos, and she was the one who made the choice not to include all of the videos. So this is kind of we're seeing this, I think, more and more in how the Crown is seeking to introduce this kind of evidence from, postings on Facebook. And so the judge, I think, is being very judicious. She's listening to both sides. She's asking the applicant to clarify his arguments when she's not completely clear, and getting everything on the record. Likewise, she's giving the Crown an opportunity to give its point of view. But I think this is an important application because, as we're seeing, social media is the new reality, and this is going to affect, I think it's going to be an important case for the future of defense counsel's rights in a trial when the Crown is introducing evidence in this way.
Yeah, and one thing to what Brian was saying, the judge agrees with Brian's assessment. Why? Because she made remarks to the same effect yesterday. She was saying that these, should we call them procedures, laws, conventions that govern the nature of admissibility of statements were drafted long before anyone ever heard of social media. So this is a novel technological aspect, which is very interesting and could have broader applications or implications to criminal proceedings across the country. That's why it's so interesting and potentially impactful.
Yes.
Now, today we are hearing from Diane Magus, Chris Barber's legal counsel. She started to introduce her application yesterday. Do either of you have any remarks on that? Any idea where that's going today, or wait and see?
We learned this morning that they've changed courtrooms. I believe in a larger courtroom with better technical support, because the technical issues were front and center yesterday. So I think, I believe it's Miss Magus's intent to play those videos for about an hour. But the judge did remark that Miss Magus's oral remarks were different from the arguments put forward by Mr. Granger in his application and his oral argument. So we're gonna, I think, see something a little bit novel, a little bit adding a little bit to the argument that was made yesterday.
Very good. Stay tuned. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Brian.
Or, just making it up as we go.
Yeah, that sounds about par for the course, man. I mean, I do get that. I guess, often, especially, case law takes a while to catch up with technology, but statute law and written law would take much, much longer. These laws that were written were written quite some time ago, and technology and the way we communicate and so many other things have changed over that time. So, I guess these things need to be adjudicated and heard and case law established, but it just seems like kind of a complete, I don't know, just seems wild to me. As a layperson, it's very hard to understand some of the stuff that's going on.
And Linda's saying, what a waste of time and money. Sad world. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what's going on too. A waste of time and money. We're talking about a counseling to commit mischief charge that was slapped on her over 2 years ago now. And now it's adjourned to August. It's just incredible. And again, what is the desired outcome here? What's the prosecution going for? Because she's already done over 50 days in jail.
I think they're asking for up to 10 years, the maximum for everything, non concurrently, consecutively, whichever the one, so I think they're asking for something like 10 years, which is just a complete farce. That's completely ridiculous. And this is the case that's front center. This is costing a ridiculous amount of money. We're talking well over $500,000 each defending themselves here. It's a huge sum of money, and they're nowhere near done.
Yeah. And think of the expense on the other side too, that the government has to pay for all of this stuff when it comes to paying lawyers for the Crown, the time, the judges. There's an entire administrative apparatus that's working on this behind the scenes. If you start adding up all those person hours for people working within the judicial system, to administer this stuff, like, and this is the same government that told us that we had to pay off Omar Khadr $10.5 million in order to save exactly those kinds of costs, right?
Yeah, and this is something we hear often from them is in the public interest. Like, I don't see how any of this is in the public interest. We're letting real dangerous criminals off the hook with no penalty because trials are taking so long, or they're not even getting to them. There's no resources. They're dragging these people through the mud. I mean, costing them a fortune, using up all the court's time and resources. It definitely doesn't seem to be in the public interest at all, in my opinion. I don't see how anyone can make that argument that it's in the public interest to continue with this charade.
Yeah, well, we can just leave our keys by the front door, right? So
yes, exactly. Yeah. And don't dare fight back. Like, leave your car keys, let them steal your vehicle. Don't say a word about it. And if you do, you're a racist. So
yeah, shut up, you racist.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. And here's Dacey again, and he's retweeting himself. It says, breaking: male Palestinian protester pushes woman at Ottawa police arrest the woman. C Squared was filming the latest Palestinian protest in Ottawa when she was pushed by a man. She was almost immediately arrested by OPS. She was held in handcuffs until in the back of the police car for some time, and eventually released with a warning. So it's not hard to see how this stuff breaks down along ideological lines. Let's just get a look at the video and we'll comment on that. Oh, is it doing this thing again? What is going on? I've been noticing that just on the last couple of streams. It seems like it doesn't want to play nice.
That was on video. My guy.
I'll back that up just for everybody who can see here. She's C Squared.
Yeah, and this guy that bumps into her, just so people know, I've been able to find some more video since, and this guy comes like beelines it from her he comes from about 30 or 40 feet away, directly towards her. When before this, some other people engaged them and tried to push them out of there. This guy came to get involved specifically. It's really obvious from what I've seen since. So I mean, there's no gray area here to me.
So there were some of these Hamas hole / Antifa types that were trying to push
exactly
out of the area, and they didn't budge. And then this guy came from 40 feet away and gave her a little shove, just to show her who's boss, I guess. Here he comes. You see, deliberate, right? He goes with the shoulder,
for sure,
bangs right into her, just for the sake of provoking.
That was on video, my guy.
And she pushes him back.
My guy. I just have that on video.
And now he's got his hands up in the air like, oh, I'm Mr. Innocent. This person's attacking me.
Yeah, and somewhere, if you pause for just 1 sec, we ended up, I don't know who it was, but someone found more footage of this guy doing very much the same thing, bumping into people, hands up, like he's not doing it at another protest. It may have been in Toronto, actually. I'm not sure if it was here or Toronto, but this is not the first rodeo for this guy, and this is kind of his MO. He's been seen at other protests doing very similar things.
This seems to be an MO for Antifa broadly, is they just keep pushing, provoking until they finally get the response. And then they put their hands up and say, look how violent everybody's being. Look how violent these right wingers are. Right. So I think that's a big part of the strategy, especially with Antifa Canada. It seems they are especially cucked, more so even than in the United States.
Step off. You did that on purpose. Step off. He pushed me first. She's not on video. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Excuse me? No. Let me give her the phone. I'm going to take the phone. Let the phone go. I'll leave it to her. I'll let it go to give her. Go. Thank you. Hands on your back. Can I take Can I give her my back? Hold on. I'll get it on. I'll show you the video in a sec. I'll take your bag. Can you show how it started before you do this? Do you want to see the video?
So this kind of continues till she ends up in the back of the police car. I did end up getting more video too of her first person view of this happening. And right before they arrest her, they threaten to they tell her that she's causing a disturbance, basically. Well, there's 500 people behind her screaming and chanting. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, it breaks down along these ideological lines of left and right. I mean, if you're out there screaming for the genocide of the Jews, then that's not disturbing. But if you disagree with the call of the genocide of the Jews, then that is disturbing. And it has everything to do with I think the kind of ideological indoctrination that's taken place in our federal institutions, but also in these police forces that like the indoctrination appears to be particularly acute in the police forces that are in the cosmopolitan areas, like in Ottawa, Toronto, Vancouver. Those police departments appear to be very much in the tank for all of this commie BS. And here is the video that Dacey was just talking about, the first person view. Let's get a look at that. Okay. It's going to make me refresh. It's doing that a lot. Bear with me here, folks. A little bit of technical difficulties. Not too bad. All right.
Yeah. Don't touch me.
Just back up.
No, I don't have to.
You're causing a disturbance.
No, I'm not. That guy just trampled me. So don't go after. I'm the victim. No, I'm not. He pushed me first.
You're under arrest.
He pushed me.
You're under arrest. Grabs her.
Yeah.
So the sergeant there is ignoring the mob behind him and accusing this 5 foot tall woman who's simply filming of causing a disturbance.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And it's like I said, I mean, it's entirely because of the ideological perspective that she takes, right? So here's, I mean, look at all of these people. They've got masks on. They're wearing their sunglasses even to help protect their identity. So they don't need to be known. And she's out there maskless and easily identifiable. And here she's being treated like the troublemaker instead of all the people wearing the terrorist keffiyehs with their masks and sunglasses on. So
I mean, they're lined up. They're lined up and they're blocking access to this public space. They're not allowing her into a public space, which I believe is a crime in and of itself. They're restricting her enjoyment of that public property.
Yeah, that's one of the elements of mischief.
As far as I know, like I've heard about these things quite a few times, and now I mean, if these are what the law says, I mean, I'm seeing examples of it constantly, and nothing being done about it.
Yeah,
big tough sergeant there. You're causing a disturbance.
Yeah.
We don't care about the drums and yeah. Come on, man. Excuse me.
Okay, here's Bad Hijabi. She's a pretty good account over there on X. So I've been following her lately. She does some good threads. And she's just retweeting Andy Lee, who Andy Lee says trans rights activists are smashing Radio Canada's windows for doing their job reporting. Yes, this is all just fine. So Radio Canada actually started talking about how this trans craze in the hospitals in particular with injecting kids with Lupron, puberty blockers, and having them undergo these irreversible procedures that lead to sterilization while they're adolescents, no less. So they actually did report on that, and now they're taking a bunch of heat from, well, all the usual suspects. So Andy Lee is retweeting this Montreal Counter Information screenshot here. Radio Canada has blood on its hands. A look back on the windows destroyed in the night of March 12th, 13th. And Andy Lee is saying, trans rights activists are smashing Radio Canada's windows for doing their job, reporting. Yes, this is all just fine. Quote, our allies and many other, our allies are many and our rage runs deep. We are determined and our solidarity is strong. This will be neither the first nor the last time that queers bash back. What I thought was really good here is Batty Jobby's tweeting this. It says, dude, the logo reminds me of something. So she's looking at the logo for anti-transphobe action. And as you can see, we've got the pride flag with a black flag behind it, blowing in the wind. And she's comparing that to the Antifa flag. So this is actually Antifascista for Action from the Weimar Republic, and she's retweeting this out from Wikipedia. It looks like Anti-fascist organization, the Weimar Republic, started by members of the Communist Party of Germany that existed from 1932 to 1933. It was primarily active as a KPD campaign during the 1932 German federal election. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of people are kind of waking up to this. This is what I've been pointing to for a while, is that intersectionalism is a Marxist praxis through which we see all of these so-called disaffected groups of the oppressed. They're making all of these different little groups of oppressors, from the gays and the trans, the LGBTQAIP ampersand asterisk alliance, and they are intersecting with the communists, who are intersecting with the jihadis. And so we have this kind of transgender Islamunism that's taking over. That's what I've been calling it anyway. It's like Islamunism, like the Islamists.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's not bad. It's really strange bedfellows, when you see these groups and you see, like the pride flag suddenly in the middle of this massive group of Palestinian flags, and then coming up the back, you've got people that are straight up carrying communist flags, like Communist Party of Ontario or Canadian Communist Party, I think it might be. I don't know what the acronym is. It's similar to CCP, honestly. And you see these flags regularly at these things. The other thing you see too often is union members. So you get PSAC or QP. They have their union flags. I mean, they got their union symbol with on a pride flag. They got it on all kinds of things. But so you got the unions, you've got Antifa, you've got the Palestinian crowd, and just keep adding these, as you say, victim groups to the mix. It's a very bizarre scene.
Yeah, and we saw that especially during there was the education over indoctrination protests there back in September, at the end of September, in the Toronto area, where Billboard Chris and Save Canada were scheduled to have a demonstration in front of a school, but trAntiFa showed up and blocked the roadway. And of course, they were sneaky and violent. And if you get attacked by trAntiFa, then you get arrested. We saw that with Wild Bill Rydell, who I believe is in the chats right now. Here he is saying cowards, spineless, feckless police. Bill was arrested for getting stabbed by Antifa with a broken umbrella. And what we saw there at that particular protest was there was Fred Hahn, who's the president of QP Ontario, which is like the largest labor union, most powerful in Canada. And there was somebody from one of the guys who got arrested, one of the Antifa guys who finally got arrested, was an electrician from the electricians union. So it does seem to be the case that perhaps the unions are just the militant wing of the Canadian labor unions. I remember a few years ago, there was Rand Paul who got swarmed by a bunch of them in DC. And what he said on the news later was, he was like, we need to figure out who's funding these people, because these people are not local to DC. They're busing them in from out of town to do all this astroturfing and go after politicians. And then with that indoctrination, or education over indoctrination event there, that was when I kind of started saying, I think we found out who's funding Antifa, guys. It looks like it's coming from the unions.
Yeah, a few points there. There's definitely a connection, right? It's so strange that the same people that were out and vehemently protesting that 1 million March for Children are now marching in support with very much some of the same group, right? Like there was crossover there. When you have the pro-Palestinian crowd, there was definitely some of those people that were in the parental rights movement, let's call it. So now you have people that were vehemently opposed to each other now standing together. But that union point is very good. The same thing with all these different grants that come down for diversity and inclusion. So it's hard to track this stuff, but these grants are being given out. Millions and millions and millions of dollars are given out to these NGOs or these pseudo governmental organizations that are supposed to be out there, anti-hate and diversity, equity, inclusion type stuff. And that money is being filtered into these very things. That's what's paying for it. We saw groups being bussed in, I guess it would be almost 2 weeks ago now, but for that massive protest in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago, they were bussing people in from all over the place to come to Ottawa and to basically shut things down.
And there's a kind of ideological alignment, I think, that's taking place between all of these different groups. And there is, well, obviously, they're aligned with the current regime and their ideology. And they're funding this stuff through government grants, and also NGOs are funding it as well. A lot of people, like, it leads a lot of people to this conclusion, I think, that these people are being paid directly by the government or through the intelligence agencies or something like that. I just never saw a level of competence in the government in my 20 years of serving in the military that would inspire that kind of confidence in me with respect to the government's ability to pull something off. I think it's really more like just these ideologues are all pursuing the same goal, which is the destruction of the West. Like, progressivism is an anti-Western movement, and you got people like Judith Butler out there, who's a seminal third wave feminist author, saying that Hamas is part of the global progressive movement. It seems to be the case that everybody who wants to go for the destruction of the West, they're just joining forces, and the funding seems to come through like multiple streams, I think.
Yeah, and I think they've been doing this for a while, and it seems like these people know how to game the system, right? Like, they know where to apply for the grants, and there's little to no oversight in any of this, right? There's no transparency and there's no oversight. So I mean, similar to maybe like the Arrive scam, where we heard recently that that the people that got that contract, they specialize in getting contracts. They don't specialize in doing any sort of work. They get the contract. They know how to game these systems to win contracts, and then they subcontract out everything to all their buddies, and it's cronyism 101 after that. But these people that are having these protests, they know how to get these grants. They know how to work these things. We got groups here in Ottawa. Horizon Ottawa, for one, is often coming out, and they have people writing pages and pages, and hit pieces come out. I've had hit pieces against me. There's money behind this, paying for all this stuff. And these people have learned how to game the system and how to tap into that lucrative government funding, even if it's not direct. It's like 1 or 2 degrees of separation here, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. It's like arm's distance, I guess, where they kind of bring these third-party contractors in for some of this stuff. Plausible deniability is the first refuge of the scoundrel, folks. So that's what a lot of it has to do with, is just maintaining some semblance of plausible deniability with respect to the fact that our institutions have been captured and our government is working for the other side and all of this. And the other side, I think, is effectively the Chinese Communist Party. They are basically the center of gravity in all of this. I keep mentioning the unrestricted warfare strategy, and one of those prongs in the 5-prong strategy is the lawfare, and another one is finance. So I think it's probably just the case that a lot of this stuff, like the interests are aligning, and we got a lot of motivated people over there on the other side too as well. But we are getting some wins, and here is Jason Levine. He says, huge Coots news. He says, James Sowery is out. James successfully filed his appeal and is now out of prison pending appeal. After reviewing the details of his trial, it was clear that James was a candidate for an appeal based on charter violations, incompetent representations, and fresh evidence. Stay tuned. So that is excellent news. I mean, it's just a damn shame that he ever had to go through this to begin with, of course, but at least he's no longer in jail. He's out pending his appeal. And Jason is tweeting this other graphic here that I think draws a very good compare and contrast. You've got James on the left. He says, crushed 1 pylon, got 10 months in prison. And then there's this other trAntiFa scumbag. I don't know his name. He's not important enough. Crushed 4 protesters, 2 years house arrest. But that was from Winnipeg. So there was the demonstration in support of the trucker convoy in Winnipeg right around the time all of that was going on. And this guy went out in his car and crushed 4 people. I think 1 died. And anyway, he ends up getting 2 years house arrest. And you do a compare and contrast with that. Well, it seems like the lives of anybody who's non-communist or non-progressive are less valuable than that of a pylon.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that guy took his car out and he intentionally mowed down people that he didn't agree with, innocent people. And I mean, we hear cases like this. This one is so similar, but we hear cases of violent criminals. There was a guy that was, I think he was charged with attempted murder of murder of a police officer, and he was out on bail. Like, I mean, you see these stories constantly. We basically have a revolving door. Everyone gets bail, everyone. And in this one case, you know, like, yeah, exactly, a pylon. And you know, you hear this RCMP officer who says he's traumatized for life, and he was so terrified he can't be on near vehicles anymore, and all this craziness. Like, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, just insane. And speaking of insane, here's Deanna Sharif, who is something like the Antifa queen here in Canada. And Kareem Assad is tweeting out #update. I asked the Crown to stay my peace bond application against Deanna Sharif so as to be fully unencumbered to assist Chris Dacey with his own. Ms. Sharif tried stalling the hearing by 2 extra months but failed. We proceed on April 26th, 2024, and it can't come soon enough. You want to give us a little background on that one, Dacey?
Yeah, so I mean, Deanna, almost everyone would know who she is at this point. But she's been waging like a constant harassment campaign against me for quite some time. Not just me, others as well. And Karima. So Karima's been my lawyer for quite some time. She approached me about this and wanted to help me out. So she dropped hers basically to focus on my case so that she could, be my counsel. And then it's probably a stronger case to begin with. So that she could focus on that. Now what Deanna is trying to do here is say that there's a conflict of interest. She's trying to get her recused from my case. So basically she's trying to interfere now and have it so that Kareem Assad can't represent me. I don't think she's going to be successful in that. We're scheduled now. There's a court hearing. So we were supposed to have the hearing just a few days ago, I think it was, but I don't think it'll be delayed past this one now. And there has been a development. The Crown is going to intervene in this case, so that's something of note as well. So she won't be able to get up there and just grill me. The Crown will be taking care of the examinations or the cross examinations and stuff like that. This is a Crown that I've met at least once too, and earlier on in the process, I got a chance to speak to him, and I think since talking to me and seeing her behavior since, like, she's been on the war path since we filed this. Her behavior is getting worse and worse by the day. Nothing seems to stop her or slow her down. She just keeps doubling down and doubling down. So, I mean, this is kind of a drawn out process. It's not a real enjoyable thing. And she likes to, she digs up my past, shares all kinds of information, makes stuff up. It's not pleasant, but I think if we kind of keep going through this, then maybe we might be able to have a little success. And hopefully if I have success, that will help insulate and protect some others and maybe set a bit of an example that this behavior won't be left unchecked forever.
Yeah, and hopefully others will think twice.
Yeah, I would hope. Yeah.
And Cindy is pointing out, Rainbow Karen needs to be locked up. Yeah, she needs to be like straitjacketed and thrown into a padded room. She's completely off her rocker. And I think the fact that she's been getting away with so much is really what emboldens her too. But she did get kicked off the Hill there recently. Is she back?
Yeah, she's banned for a year from that. She did threaten to do something to like OPS or PPS. She said, if they don't change this and take her away her thing by, I think it was the 8th. The deadline's passed anyways. I haven't seen anything happen. But she came out and said that they'd be sorry. They better withdraw her trespass or deal with her wrath. But so far, nothing on that front. I did see her pop up in the middle of David Menzies' arrest there in Toronto the other day. She was right in the middle of that.
Is that right?
Yeah. So when he was getting arrested for filming a protest, man, it's so crazy. She was right in the middle of that. So I mean, she gets around. Goes down to Toronto to give people a hard time. She does it here regularly, but I mean, she's willing to travel. She drags her daughter with her to these things as well.
Oh, I know. I saw that. It's just so sad. Diagaron over on Rumble was just saying Zegarak. That's the name of the guy who was. I was just showing him there. He did he ran over 4 protesters in Winnipeg. Zegarak is his name. I couldn't recall it at the time. He says that he had 4 people, but nobody died. Okay, right on. Thanks for the correction. It's hard to say on top of all this stuff. No one person can remember all the details.
Yeah, it doesn't make it any less. I mean, thank God that they survived, but I mean, people were injured, and he was trying to murder them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
It's to no credit of his own that nobody died.
exactly.
That's for damn sure. And speaking of what was going on in Toronto, here is Dacey retweeting Karima again. Public order unit marches toward protesters outside King Edward Hotel. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is well protected tonight. Well, somebody is in Canada anyway.
More police are arriving on scene.
There you go.
Yeah, well, and after what we saw last week, where they had to bring in horses and the building got surrounded, they were banging on glass. The whole Liberal event got shut down. I guess they were a little more prepared this time, but I mean, you can see those riot police or PP out there, whatever you call them. What the heck's the name for those? Anyways, they're basically riot police. With these chants going on in the background from the river to the sea, like. We have bills going through that are going to criminalize our speech and our thought, and then we have riot police listening to literally to genocidal chants over loudspeakers, and not a peep. Like that, this is completely fine somehow.
Yeah. Bill C-63, I think is what you're talking to there. That's where
Yeah.
They're going to bring the pre-thought crime into the criminal code. So even if you're somebody who might post something heretical to the woke dogma, then you could end up under house arrest with an ankle bracelet on. And when it comes to incitement of genocide, they've upped the maximum penalty to life in prison. Somehow I don't think that incitement is going to apply to the people who are chanting from the river to the sea, though. Hey, Dacey?
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, it's it's pretty obvious it's not. And as far as this thought crime and pre-crime stuff, I've been arbitrarily banned from the House of Commons from question period. I've never committed a crime. I've never caused a scene in there. I'm not trespassed from the hill. So that's we think that he might be a problem because we don't agree with his political thoughts. We're going to just outright ban him. And I mean, that's the start of the slippery slope. This stuff's already going on. If these laws pass, then I mean, shit, we're basically done. It's scary stuff. Like, we talk about all these things so often that we almost get desensitized to it. Like this is the end of Canada as we know it, but it is. It's terrifying.
Absolutely. And speaking of the end, here's Dacey retweeting Derek Noonan, who's another great freedom fighter, who's always in Ottawa and always posting stuff. Says PM Justin Trudeau enters the King Edward Hotel for an event with a massive police presence outside. And here is Derek. He's saying Trudeau entering the King Edward Hotel. This is from just the other day on the 15th. Here we go.
Justin, he arrived can't Justin. Billions of dollars to companies that don't exist, Justin. It's all going to come back, Justin. Justice will come, Justin. Justice will come. So that was him, everyone. I guess straight. Now we're trapped in the police zone, but we got him. He gave me his sarcastic wave. Oh, hey, Waylon. You just missed him. I got him going in. I guess the right door. I got him for about a minute or so. But he's in there now. And just to kind of give you, I'm kind of trapped in the police zone right now. Just me and Teresa. So we're trapped in the police zone. Well, thanks, guys. Sorry about the noise. He knows me, so this is probably the 50th time I've seen it. I have a thing. I was in the military, and what he's done with the CCP and everything like that just rubs me the wrong way. So, yeah.
Well done,
So,
Derek.
I got to get my words.
Fair
in.
point.
All right. Peace.
Yeah, I mean, and look where he ends up, right? Like he's surrounded on all sides by riot police, and they've closed the streets, and I mean, the resources going into this are wild. I don't know how comfortable I'd be in that position, but at least he was live. So I know for anyone who doesn't know, Derek Noonan is the one who organized the press conference in the House of Commons not too long ago at the second anniversary that he invited me along to, and actually he was on the Levine show this morning with Lynn Brooks. So if people want to get to know a little bit more about Derek and what he does and whatnot, that'd be a really good show for people to watch.
Yeah, right on. I should have Derek on sometime, actually. I know I've corresponded with him in the past and stuff like that too. So he's very active at this space. He's got a lot of stories to tell, and he's a veteran too, right?
Yeah, he was just saying that. I was pretty sure he was, but yeah, he was just saying that. I don't know his whole history there, but yeah. And so you can see on there, he's started a media company called Black Flag Media. So, looking to get accreditation and this kind of thing. We want to step up our quality and our professionalism and stuff. And we need to be able to work. There's some of these systems, there's stuff in place that if we learn how to navigate it, like he did, we can end up in the House of Commons standing in the exact place Trudeau gave his Emergency Act his Emergency Act declaration or whatever. We were there two years later, doing the same thing in the place that I was not allowed in just 2 weeks before that. So, this is complicated stuff, but if we learn how to navigate it, man, we can do some pretty cool stuff, and we can reach a broader audience, and hopefully we can make some progress.
Yeah, that was incredible seeing you guys standing at the podium in the Parliament, addressing the parliamentary press corps. Yeah, we're doing an anniversary.
People were so shocked when they were seeing it live and that. Like, they was getting messages like, "How did you Photoshop that? What the heck? How'd you do it?" and all this. I'm like, man, it was real. It was real.
I thought the same thing. Dacey and I we were talking on the phone the same day that went up. And he mentioned it, and when he was talking about it, I was like, shit, that was real. Like, I retweeted it, I posted it. I just went, hey, great job, guys. I don't know who did the green screen there, but it looks amazing. And then when I was talking to Dacey, I was like, that was real? Are you serious? You guys pulled that off? That's incredible. And that was all Derek that was kind of the driving force behind that, huh?
Yeah. He went and figured out the process, and he applied, and he went through the screening process and all that, and he's invited me in. It was quite the thing he did, and he did that by making some phone calls, talking to some people, called the House of Commons, talked to the press people there, followed the procedure, and that was all there was to it. I mean, there is some kind of hierarchy to who gets what room when, but that one wasn't booked. No one wanted to talk that day. It was like Friday afternoon. And no one had it booked, so we got the main room there in the House of Commons.
Yeah, a little bit of luck and some persistence, man. Amazing what you can pull off.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Speaking of persistence, here's this guy, and Dacey's asking, "What is this guy drinking?" So this is another Karima clip.
vaginas because they don't have tampons.
What did she just say?
I gotta back that up.
Dude.
Whoa, this is the issue right now in the world.
Because they don't have tampons. There's women who are using pieces of pens.
Pieces of pens? Is that what she's saying?
Pens? I thought she said heads, maybe? Pieces of pens? I don't know. I thought she said like pieces of people, maybe? It's unhinged, man.
Pieces of pens in their vagina.
There's women who are using pieces of pens and putting them in their vaginas because they don't have tampons. You're a woman. What's wrong with you?
Maybe we can send the tampons from our men's rooms over to them.
No humanity.
Yeah, that sounds like a good place for all the tampons. They just did a thing on one of the bases there. Somebody ripped a tampon machine out of Canadian Armed Forces Base, Washington, and the chain of command brought in like stacks up to the ceiling of boxes of tampons. So,
that'll show.
Yeah, maybe
it's straight to court martial if you do that, eh? Like that's one of the most heinous things you can do while you're serving.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. You got to have tampons in the men's room. The ladies are chiming in on this one.
Man, like our military doesn't have enough problems, eh? I just saw this week too that the Hawk program is being has been shut down, the advanced fighter training program, and we're going to outsource that. I think top aces at this point probably have a bigger air force than we do. They got F-16s and more. Man, it's why.
Oh.
Nope, we're good.
You're back now. You dropped out for a sec there, Chris, but you're back. Yeah, I think Stephanie was just saying leftist women are so disgusting. Yeah, I guess they'll put anything in their vaginas. Huh? It seems to be what I'm getting from this. And this
people with vaginas, you mean?
Oh yeah, sorry. The Supreme Court says that this person with a vagina needs to have a voice. I guess it is just so typical, like the pink hair, the different colored nails, and just the septum ring, and she's out there screaming about her vagina at the police, and shame on the police.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of issues over there. I mean, like, what a strange thing to focus on too, though. Like with everything going on, we need to steal it. We need all your men's tampons. We're sending them over here because people are using pens. Like what?
Yeah. RJ Sawyer saying pieces of tents, maybe. I don't know what they're saying.
Doesn't matter what she's saying. It makes no sense. Like it's a ridiculous statement, no matter what she said.
Yeah. Now, speaking of following processes and all that persistence and stuff like that, I noticed that you're taking some action yourself, Dacey. He says, I've got some paperwork to catch up on. Accountability is coming. And the title on this one is Making a Complaint About the Police. What's going on here, brother? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm always telling everybody that we need to try to use the systems in place and report the bad conduct of people. And I mean, there's been so many incidents. There's been a lot of reports I haven't filed and a lot of stuff that's happened that I want to get these reports in and at least complaints done and go from there. There's 3 or 4 specific officers in Ottawa, one in particular that I've had quite a bit of trouble with. And this was just the other day. But I was also in, I don't know if you saw the post I put that, am I the Fed? I was in RCMP headquarters here in Ottawa, but I was in there giving a statement about a complaint dating way back to when Christine Cameron was attacked by the RCMP when we were giving Trudeau the gears there. It was probably, it was last May. It was quite a while ago. But the RCMP have been following up and they're investigating that complaint. So I was in with the RCMP giving a statement about that the other day too. And to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised. Maybe that's a little much, but I was happy with the way and the professional approach they took. Once that complaint was filed, very quickly people followed up. They've been interviewing all kinds of people. They've interviewed Trudeau's detail, the people involved. Christine Cameron's given her statement. They have my video, and the guy I talked to. I mean, we had the recorded interview, but we also had quite some time talking about what's legal, what's not legal, where things stand, how the law applies, and it gave me a little tiny bit of hope that there's still some professionalism left in these police forces, and maybe there's still a few good people in them. we'll wait and see how this all plays out. But you know, the way that we were investigating seemed good to me. At least it's something.
Bunny was just asking, are police paid by HR or contracts? It would be more like a public service salary, right? Like they're public servants, so they'd be on salary with the government, whichever government it is they report to, be it federal, provincial, or municipal. But they would be public servants. I don't think they have.
Yeah, and I mean they might be under salary, but there is often chances for police to do all kinds of private work where they get overtime or they get paid a heck of a lot more. So that's how a lot of police end up on the sunshine list, making over 100K. So they'll the Ottawa Police, for instance, will send you a police officer and a cruiser for triple the amount of a regular police officer and cruiser or whatever, and then you can privately pay. So construction companies do this, but also security. Which is a bit of a strange thing, right? Because then you get a uniformed Ottawa police officer acting in a security role, not in his actual role. There's some gray area there, and they're basically private security, but they're uniformed as Ottawa police. That's a bit of a strange thing to me, but often there's a chance for these people to get huge amounts of overtime by moonlighting, I guess, at the city's direction or discretion.
Yeah. And Chris is asking hourly or salary. Yeah, it would be hourly. I think I said salary there, but their wage would still be a public servant's wage. I think it's just that they are paid hourly as opposed to, weekly. So good point. And the overtime is something that they take advantage of to, beat up protesters so they can get pools. We've seen that here before. So. But here's Dacey again. He says, Ottawa Police sure make things easy. Talk to the machine at HQ who says to attend another location across town. Attend that location only to be met with a sign saying to go online. Well done, everyone. Exercises in futility. So
yeah, and I mean, it's purely anecdotal, but I would say that that when I got to this place, there was a lineup out the door. And they all appeared to be new Canadians. So that may have something to do with the lack of ability to get services and resources because they're being stretched too thin with the amount of new people entering the city or the country. People that need background checks or vulnerable sector checks and all this kind of thing seem to be overwhelming the system. This is the second location. So I went to Ottawa Police Headquarters. You can't even talk to a person there if you want to. There's a kiosk, and pretty much no matter what button you press, it tells you to go online.
Yeah.
And then when you go online, they have an antiquated system that looks like it's from like Explorer 2 or whatever, or Netscape Navigator or some ancient technology. Trying to navigate this stuff, man. You go on like the Government of Ontario page and they want you to sign in with something that's no longer functional. Like it's just pure levels of ridiculous bureaucracy and technology that doesn't work and, send you one place, send you to another. It's absolute lunacy.
Yeah. And speaking of lunacy, I mean, you mentioned this a little bit there before, but here is Ezra Levant, and he did a video here. David Menzies arrested. It says, breaking, Toronto police just arrested David Menzies for reporting on a Hamas hate rally. When he tried to interview a Hamas protester, police grabbed him. Watch this insanity and help us fight back. So he's got his standwithdavid.com stuff up there. David got arrested again. And this time, like Christia Freakland wasn't involved or anything like that. So I think that's an example of what I was talking about there a minute ago with the ideological alignment. It's very politically incorrect, I think, to do what David is doing here, where he's going up to question some of these pro-Hamas demonstrators. Yeah, he goes ahead and gets arrested. Here is the footage. So for those of you just listening, like they have a group of demonstrators here. They have their keffiyehs, in support of Hamas. And this guy's even got a sweater made up in the same color scheme. And they're taking over the street here so they can engage in prayer. And this is something that, I mean, I've been following this for a number of years. When it comes to political Islam, this is a tactic where they kind of swarm the streets and shut down streets for mass prayer. And it's political, like it's political messaging. They are trying to achieve. That's why I say it's political Islam. Has everything to do with how the rest of us live, I think, than any kind of spiritual pursuits of their own.
I think it's important to note too that they're not engaged in prayer yet. Just for people that can't see. I mean, not that should matter. You should be able to film and be around regardless, but they're not engaged in prayer yet. He's trying to talk to them before.
Yeah. And Rob is saying over on Rumble, praying is religious. Blocking a street to pray is a political act. That's exactly it.
Yes.
This is political. It's the taking over the streets as a means of sort of imposing the faith on the rest of us. But
well, and I think just before we play this too, it's important to note that with these new laws coming, there's all kinds of things from, at least from the Christian perspective, that will be considered hate speech. Like if I was to go pray in certain areas, I could very well find myself in very hot water. We've seen cases like that in England where people were silently praying and were arrested for it. Not out loud, just in their head. So which would be, I guess, thought crime there.
Yeah. I remember that. That was just a few months ago too. And it's anti-Western. Like you put that lens over to kind of make sense. And Christianity is seen as a Western religion. So everything from, whiteness to Christianity to chivalry, apple pie, it's all under attack because
punctuality,
hard work, fitness, any of that stuff. It's all white supremacy. It's all under attack because it's Western, and they want to destroy our values and destroy our culture. Aufhebender culture was the motto of the Frankfurt School. Mao led a cultural revolution that ended in, a genocide in his own country. And that's what we're undergoing right now. It's a Maoist cultural revolution, and Trudeau is kind of the Maoist figure in all of this, believe it or not. But all right, here's David getting arrested.
No, God says anything you want to start. Brother. It's okay. We offered you some food if you want to eat.
That's Deanna Sharif right there.
Yep.
Yeah, big surprise.
What is going on? We just want you to come out of the way. Guys, excuse me. We're trying to put him behind the Hey, that's my guy. That's my guy. Stop. You take care of the Stay back, guys. Stay back. Hey, stay back. Stay back. Stop pushing forward.
Do you see what that showed? There was a pro-Hamas protester. You probably recognize him. He's the guy who shouts hateful things at synagogues, at Jewish schools. He's the one who has been leading the Hamas rallies around Toronto. David was trying to interview him, and he said, I'm going to pray in the middle of the street right now. Okay, well, you go ahead. It's a public street. David can stand there, but no. The police came and pulled David off the street as if it became suddenly a Sharia street, a mosque or something. And then they later arrested him. They claimed he didn't show his ID to police, which is a requirement in Canada. But take a look at this. Those wicked liars are lying. Here is footage of David Menzies going through his wallet, pulling out ID to show the police, and they arrest him and put him in the back of a paddy wagon anyways. Take a look.
Hey, do me a favor, sir. Just step back. He's my cameraman. Hey,
I'm far enough, buddy.
I'm not shoving you, sir. I'm standing here. You're impeding me.
I'm standing here already. You don't push me. I'm not violent.
Are you going to listen to me? It's a police investigation.
Are you arrest me too?
Don't get smart. I asked you to step away, okay?
What's your badge number?
731, sir.
Thanks, bud.
It's your bud.
Well done, Sergeant.
Support my coworker, right?
Do whatever you like.
Yeah.
Okay. I never repeated anything. Watch.
It's what I tell you. Are you listening or not? That's better. That's a good.
Yeah. Nothing more tyrannical, I think, than a statement like that. It's what I tell you. It's whatever I say it is.
Yeah. I'm the arbiter of law and justice in this country. I'm the sergeant of the Toronto Police Force. You do what I say.
That's right. I'm the captain now. And he's clearly not impeding him. He's standing back. For anybody who's just listening, he's standing back on the other end of the sidewalk here, just trying to get the video evidence of this arrest. They don't like that, though. Sunshine is the
and you can see in the background over the sergeant's shoulder, and even in David's hand right here, he's pulling ID and different things out of his wallet, literally showing the police right now. And they're going to try to, and then they're going to arrest him for not IDing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you're being under arrest for obstructing police. Here we go.
So he has the ID in his hand, and he says, "You're under arrest for obstructing police."
Hey, stop! That's my wallet. You're under arrest for obstructing police. There we go. What is this? I've asked you for identification numerous times. You failed to identify yourself. That's obstructing police. Efren, can you grab my stuff? Get it, sir.
They also damn well know his identity.
Exactly. Everybody knows who
that's
he
why
is.
they have him. That's why they have him, because they already know who he is.
Yeah. And he's looking down on the ground here because his wallet with his ID was just dropped to the ground as this cop was putting the cuffs on him and saying, "You're under arrest for obstructing the police for not showing me your ID." And he's like, "It's right there. It's on the ground. You just knocked it out of my hand."
We'll get your identification for you.
Okay, I think you guys are going to be hearing from our lawyers.
I'll get them, sir. Don't worry. Nobody will touch your property. You can walk him back behind the gate. Thanks, brother.
Want him where, sir?
Take him back behind the gate. Thanks, guys. Get him out of here.
Well, I have just come down. I was called by Efron, our videographer. He showed me the footage. I came down immediately to try and get David released. I went.
Cindy was just making a good point. She says he's wearing his ID around his neck. That's David Menzies with his press pass.
I presented myself to 51 Division. They say they are unable to tell me where David is. He may be here or he may be at another location. We're trying to find out where he is. We're trying to get him out tonight and home tonight. It's obviously outrageous that he was arrested at all. He committed no offense at all. This is the Toronto police having a political bias. They are having two-tiered policing. Every weekend, the police abide hours and hours of hate marches, blasting at Jewish synagogues and Jewish schools. But some Iranian thug who is a pro-Hamas activist says this is now a mosque, and the police come in as if this is Iran with some Sharia enforcement. That is a violation of David's personal rights, a violation of his charter rights, and I swear to God that we will take steps against the Toronto police to take them to court, to have a judge correct them and tell them that this is still a free country, and you cannot tell a journalist he is not allowed to be on a public street recording a public conflict in the public interest. You cannot enforce Sharia law on the streets of Toronto, and if these cops need to be told that by a judge, so be it. This is the second time that David Menzies has been harassed by police for political reasons in 2 months. Do you remember when Chrystia Freeland's bodyguards thought they would arrest him for asking questions too? Remember this?
Ms. Freeland, how come the IRGC is not a terrorist group? Why is your government supporting Islam?
This is the setup that, Dacey and I did the breakdown of this when it happened. You can see that the Freakland's aide is breaking here. She understands what's coming, so she steps aside and gets ready for the police to come in and lay hands on David. And there goes Freakland. She breaks on time. I think the aide broke a little early.
What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault. Why are you pushing me? You're under arrest for assault.
Well, we're suing.
So total shakedown, total setup. Shakedowns across the board. That's what I'm saying. Whether they're, like Jeremy McKenzie's finally getting some reprieve, although I wouldn't say justice. And, the same thing going on with Tamara Lich and Chris Barber, like shakedown across the board. And Ezra's making, I think, some pretty good points here on the enforcement of Sharia law, essentially. Well, the Sharia. Now, a good compare and contrast, I think, to draw here would be what happened with every Christian pastor, with whether it's Hillebrandt or any number of Christian pastors who are absolutely persecuted throughout all of this for holding services. And it is an offense in Canada under the criminal code to interrupt religious services. You're not allowed to do that. Maybe you could make the case that there was a religious service taking place, but it's in the middle of the street. So it's pretty clearly like not a religious service. It's a political act.
You can hear Menzies say during the arrest, I'm on the King's Highway. Like we're in the middle of the street, basically, which is a good line, actually, as they drag him away to the Tower of London with you.
Exactly. Let's see here. Now we've got another interesting case. And this is RV Blanchfield, 20th March 2024. Dacey's tweeting this out. He says, for the first time since the illegal shutdown of the Freedom Convoy 2022, Ottawa Police Superintendent Robert Bernier will take the stand in a criminal trial. Mr. Bernier led the entire shutdown of one of the most peaceful and largest protests in Canadian history. On March 20th, 2024, there will be no softball questions of any kind, no lawyers worried about political pressure, an entire day dedicated towards grinding for truth and justice for all to see. Show your support for Norm Blanchfield and come to Ottawa Court, 161 Elgin Street, March 20th at 10 a.m. Right on. Okay, so Dacey, what's going on here with this is Norm, is it?
Yeah, Norm Blanchfield. So Norm was down in that Rideau and Sussex area that got so much attention during the POEC and different things. Norm's trial has been ongoing. It's like these other ones. I mean, it's been stretching on for ages. He was back in court today. He's self-representing, and I mean, he's had some wins. He's gotten his social media back. He's gotten a few things, but his trial is continuing this week. And then so on what's the date? Did I say 21st? So I believe that's Wednesday or Thursday, whichever day it was. Then this, okay, so 20. So that'd be Wednesday. The superintendent is going to testify. Unfortunately, there's going to be no Zoom, and it's open to the public, but it will not be broadcast. So for us to know what happened, we're going to have to be in court. We're going to hopefully have quite a few people to show some support. But as far as getting the testimony and seeing what the superintendent has to say here under oath, you got to be in the courtroom. Or I mean, we'll try to summarize it afterwards. I'll do my best to get the word out. But there's no Zoom for this one. So much for transparency, right?
Are you going to be live tweeting?
Yeah, I'm going to try. I might not be as quick. I'll see if I can get Jonathan to come out with me to Patriot Smoothie. He does a pretty good job. And perhaps Legally Purdy might be there as well. She does a pretty good job of the live tweeting. I'll get out what I can during the thing, but I think what I'll do is concentrate on absorbing what's going on, taking notes, and I'll try to get out a synopsis of what was covered at the end of the day type of thing.
All right. Yeah, keep us posted, brother. Speaking of a lot of this stuff, like Cora was just saying, only Christians are expected to tolerate the religious services being interrupted, pastors jailed, and churches burned to the ground with no justice. Yeah, we didn't even mention the burning of churches. Definitely, it's just incredible. Like nobody's even been jailed for any of that stuff. And I think it supports my thesis that it's an anti-Western psyop that's being inflicted on us here, and all things Western are under attack, especially Christianity. Free speech, I mean, common decency, you name it. And Dacey is saying, this is not a joke. They want us dead. And he's retweeting this graphic here of, it looks like a screen cap of an article. Laughter, the new symbol of the far right. And this is, I've been saying, like, since I started this, we're going to win the war with memes. You see, tyrants, they can't take humor. They can't take mockery.
And this may be satire, but I mean, it nails it, right? And the statement is true. Like they want us dead. I actually stole this the screenshot here from Drew McGilvery, your fearless leader. And then I got this other part where I added the text with part of this article. So thanks to Drew for half of this. You get half credit, Drew.
Okay. Well, don't give him too much credit. Half might be.
No, I know.
Might be too much.
Yeah. Okay. Quarter credit.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll read the text here. It says, the more we try to crush them, the more brazen and disobedient they become. Notice how they say disobedient, like we're supposed to obey. It's so obvious. Like they're really making our jobs too easy for them here, just revealing what they really think. Okay, it says, is it too late? Are these people irredeemable? Perhaps we have been too soft on them by simply shutting down their funding, access to social media, and their very right to appear in public without being pelted by rotten food and liquids. It is time to admit that the only way we could truly win against the far right is to kill them. Then and only then will we be truly free from their hate. So this is satire, though, right? Like,
Yeah, I believe so. But I mean, it's true. This is very much the way things are, right? The only way they call us hateful, they call us everything. And I mean, this headline could very well be true, right? Like we see headlines like this almost every day. Like they just get more and more absurd every day. So it's probably satire, but I think it nailed it. This is how we win, right? We need to use humor.
And what makes it such good satire is it's like you're looking at this and you're going, it could be real.
Well, that's the whole point, right? Yeah, you don't know. I don't know either way. I think it probably is, but I don't know. It was good enough to me that it really proved the point, right? Like things are so far out there these days that when we read things, we don't know if it's satire or real because it very well could be real.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what makes it good satire because you're just not sure. They've junked the shark so many times now that like anything is possible. But here, I went and dug up the article myself here. This was I don't know what the heck this website is, Kotakulan Action or something. Looks like anime. I don't know. But here is the original article. Laughter, the new it is a real title, the new symbol of the far right. Now, I think this is from a few years ago, actually. I was digging around. It doesn't say it here, but it might be from like the mid 2010s, thereabouts, especially. Well, I'll read it and you'll see like the context puts it somewhere around mid 2010s for me. The last few weeks have been disastrous for the far right. From Tommy Robinson embarrassing milkshake attack and subsequent follow-up dairy assaults, to the removal of hate figures such as Paul Joseph Watson, Milo, and Laura Loomer from Facebook and Instagram. Suffice it to say, it's not looking good for them. So yeah, I remember when all that deplatforming took place there with Paul Joseph Watson and Milo Yiannopoulos in particular. So that would be like in the wake of Trump's election. So probably somewhere around 2017. Strangely enough, though, they seem to find all of this funny. It's complete madness. We call them pedophiles, and we call them racists, and we call them rapists, and we call them terrorists, and yet, in spite of this, they persist. This worrying trend of using humor against the odds seems to be growing across the world. Oh, see, we got them on the run. Just a few jokes, and that's all it takes. And they're so weak. They're so weak, and they can't. We're going to win the war with memes, guys. That's what I keep saying.
Yeah. I mean, that's the new battleground, right?
Yeah, that's the ideological battle.
And we all know that the left can't meme.
No, not one bit. I mean, I put it on their political cartoons and everything. You see the Globe and Fail tweeting out their cartoons, and that's my comment almost consistently is the left can't meme, and then I get blocked. It's pretty hilarious. That's all it takes is I say the left can't meme and they block me.
Yeah, done.
Here's a little bit more on the Palestinian protests here. Dacey was putting out a large Palestinian demonstration with drums and loudspeakers making its way in downtown Ottawa. Stops at the PMO to call out Justin Trudeau. It's a smaller crowd than last weekend, but no sign of smoke bombs here today. So last weekend was crazy. That was an insane number of people that got bussed in. No buses this time around, though, I take it, Dacey?
No, this was just the local non-organic crowd, I would call them, I guess. I don't know if all these people are local. Like, it's hard to know, but I mean, this is more on par with the regular size of the things. That last week one was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and we did a deeper dive into that around here, and they're getting funding from all kinds of NGOs, and the NCCM, National Council of Canadian Muslims, is involved there. Basically, like we're talking Muslim Brotherhood stuff. Hamas, like we fund Hamas through UNRWA, and then Hamas funds all of these NGOs that put on these mass demonstrations in our own countries. So isn't it great to see our tax dollars at work? out there, advocating for the destruction of the West. All right, let's check these guys out. Oh, come on. My video stuff is not playing nice today, folks. Pardon me, but I'll just hit refresh on that. I don't know if it's a Twitter thing or what's going on. Okay, I think we got it. And Cindy was just saying that she has to mute every time. That woman's voice is annoying. It is very shrill. It's terrible.
It's hard. Sometimes, like I mean, I listen to this stuff a lot. I mean, being present, but also going through the video, and it's the same things from each location, right? So when I see the ones from Toronto, where people are sharing them to me, man, and I'm walking down, and these things are they're like earworms. They're stuck in my head, man.
Yeah. Well, and
that's the idea, right? Like
part of it.
Just shove it down your throat, bang it, chant, chant, chant. Like that's the point, right? To ingrain this stuff in people and normalize it.
Yeah, and I think that the kind of hypnotic element is part of it too. It's like the Pied Piper, right? Led rats through the streets, swaying to the symphony of destruction, that kind of thing. These smooth brain zombies are just kind of, swaying to that symphony of destruction, being led like rats through the streets by these Pied Pipers, and that's about the size of it. And the genocide is one of these things that they're constantly pushing as well. So I thought I'd just give a little background on that, as I often do, because South Africa, which is a communist state, already tried this charge of genocide at The Hague, and it went to a trial at The Hague, and they were like, no, it's not a genocide, but you guys should be careful to minimize civilian casualties. And I've shown the statistics here before, and by Hamas's own numbers, civilian casualties are only about 1/6 the rate for the 21st century, bomb for bomb, when you break it down like that. So they're quite precise in their bombing, more so than anybody else this century. So. This is Ahmed Al-Nouk, and he says, journalists, what are you doing here? Kid, we are cutting some grass for breakfast. We want to feed each other. We want to feed the other kids. We are starving. So they're putting this idea out there. This is something that's been making its way around, that the people are starving in Gaza right now because of the actions being taken there. But here we go. Doing the same thing. So here are the kids.
السلام عليكم، كيف حالك يا عمو؟ ايش اخبارك؟ ايش بتعملوا؟
بنلقط الحشيش عشان نطفي.
نعم؟
بنلقط الحشيش عشان نطفي.
طب وانت ايش جاي بتعمل على البحر؟
عشان نستنى المساعدات. قالوا بده يجيبوا اليوم مساعدات، قعدنا نستناهم من 7 الصبح. يا هالقيت بنستنى فيه. قلنا بدناش نروح فاضيين. والله قبيح.
ايش عمو؟ ايش انت لميت؟
لميت حطب وشوية سام حشيش.
بدكوا تاكلوه هاي؟
طعم الأطفال عشان ما يموتوش من الجوع.
واللي احنا كلنا ميتين من الجوع.
بس احنا من طعم الأطفال. المفروض يوقفوا إطلاق النار.
Okay, so you get the idea. They're cutting all this grass. There are people walking around in the background like it's a regular day at the beach. The kids here now. I'm just gonna give my analysis. They don't appear to be starving. Their color is good. They don't look gaunt around the face or anything like that. They're just kind of chilling out and cutting some grass. I don't really think that many people are going to eat like that anyway, regardless of their.
Yeah.
So it's doubtful.
I think it was with you recently where they were showing like kind of what appeared to be maybe a fake emaciated person in a hospital, and there was a bunch of, I would call them maybe rotund women around, like very, very large people that clearly have not been starving.
Yeah, that was just last week. I think you and I were doing that, and that was one of the other propaganda videos that was being shared around. They were showing this child apparently who had just starved to death. It doesn't look real to me. I mean, it looks fake as all get out. But you've got the dummy, the kind of emaciated child who's laying in a bed, and everybody in the background, there's like a bunch of fat women feeding their babies with bottles. I'm like, what are these people dying of? Not sharing? Because and let me see. Sarnia is saying could be dandelion greens. I don't know. Could be, but I think that they're propagandizing us basically to make us think that there's a genocide going on over there, when in fact here's another guy. Palestinian activist Ahmoud Kuta exposes the contents of U.S. airdrops to the starving population of Gaza. So this is something that they've been doing just in recent months here, where they're airdropping food aid into Gaza. Now, the reason that they're airdropping it now is because they were sending trucks, and then what happens is Hamas will seize those trucks and take the goods for themselves, and it doesn't even end up getting into the hands of the people that we're trying to help and prevent from starving. So Hamas have been oppressing their own people there in Gaza for a couple of decades now, and they'll spew all this propaganda about how there's a genocide and starvation taking place. But we've shown the videos here before where it's them; they're the ones who are taking all the goods for themselves. And here's this guy who's got an MRE that's been airdropped now because we're trying to get around Hamas and go directly to the people there that need the food. And here is one of these guys getting one of these MRE packages.
So as the airdrops have been dropped in the north, I've been able to buy this today from the northern part of Gaza. That's where most of the airdrop has been dropped. And it's from the Department of Defense, the United States of America. This is the airdrop. They drop on us, this small, and then all the airstrikes that they also hit us with. So I wondered what's in it. It comes for free, but at the end we still have to buy it. Let's see what's in it. So starts with the top.
I don't know what he's talking about, having to buy it. It's probably somebody scooping all that stuff up.
Yes, somebody seized it and selling it to the people that need it. I mean, it's not the Americans charging them for it. That's for sure.
No, the Americans aren't even there. I mean, except for the hostages. There's like several hostages that are American, but they're the only Americans in Gaza right now.
Crackers, and then applesauce, and then oh wow, gum. Wallah بالهم فايق راجل. What's this? This is like some, I don't know. We don't see these here. And energy bar. This is the most thing I'm excited to have. French vanilla. Wow. Cashews, so nuts, peanut butter, and so overall, it's one of the worst meals I've ever had. I literally ate a piece of everything because, imagine I'm fasting all day, hungry, haven't eaten anything, and then I came to eat this. Nothing tastes good. Only the peanut butter tastes like our Canadian peanut butter. Everything else, this whole meal is like a 2 out of 10. Not even a 1 out of 10, actually. This is torturing us more than it's being aid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the MREs are torture. That is exactly what U.S. troops would be eating if they were deployed to the Gaza Strip. That's the stuff.
It's good enough for American warfighters to keep them going.
Yeah. And there is, let me see, there is a community note on that one as well. It says additional context. This is a meal ready to eat, MRE. A U.S.-made MRE is required to have at least 1,200 calories. They're often used by military as humanitarian aid rations. So you can't win. You try to send them aid on the trucks, and then Hamas will seize them and say that it was Israel, and you start airdropping this stuff in. Well, I think there was actually one shipment of the stuff that the parachute failed to open, and it landed on.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You can't win, I think, is the bottom line.
Well, and it's not like the Egyptians are opening up their border, rushing in to help or letting people out either. Like, people forget that often people forget that there's a border with Egypt there, and there's also the water. So I mean, there's this isn't like what people make it out to be always.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they'll scream and yell and stomp about the border with Israel and how it's got that massive security fence there, but they don't even they'll totally sort of gloss over the fact that Gaza also has a border with Egypt, and it looks exactly the same. Like you can't tell which border you're looking at, through a compare and contrast between the videos. Here's what's going on in Canada right now. I don't think I'm going to read the article or anything, but National Compost is reporting NDP's anti-Israel motion is a moral test for this country. Do we side with democracy and peace, or do we capitulate to the demands of terror? So the NDP submitted a motion here to have the House of Commons vote to declare what's happening in Gaza a genocide and call for a two-state solution. So to call for the ceasefire and the two-state solution. And, I don't have to go into the whole article, I think, but basically the obvious criticism is you're giving in to terrorist demands. Like there was a massacre on October 7th, and, they're taking hostages. And these are exactly the kinds of demands that these guys are making, is that they get the two-state solution, the ceasefire, the release of detainees that are suicide bombers being held in Israeli prisons. And as we can see, the progressive left, which is a movement to destroy the West, is allying with these jihadis to get them what they want. Whatever weakens the West is true. Well done, NDP. But I have heard that it's going to be a free vote.
Trade like one child or one woman civilian for 10 Hamas bomb makers doesn't seem like a good deal to me.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. That's what's happening too. And on another another front on this one too, this claim that there's there's this indiscriminate bombing and a genocide taking place. This is the Jewish Chronicle, so you guys can put that lens over it, obviously, and take it for what it's worth. But the headline here says, Hamas casualty numbers are statistically impossible, says data science professor. University of Pennsylvania statistician has analyzed the widely quoted death figures put out by the terror group. And this is a bit of a theme that I've been presenting here as well. Now, this is a University of Pennsylvania statistician, so it's not like the Jewish Chronicles statistician. But here is the graph from the middle of this article. I'm not going to bother to read the whole article here, guys. But this is total versus date reported. And as you can see, these are the casualties that Hamas is reporting. It is the health authority in Gaza there, which is Hamas. The whole thing is run by the Gaza Strip is all run by Hamas. So we're having to rely on their numbers. And the statistician has lined them all up here on a graph from October 26th up to this is October 26th in 2023 up to looks like November 10th, 2023. And they form a straight line. Like there's just no way that all lines up to be a perfectly linear line on a graph from this date to that date. It just doesn't work that way.
Looks very natural. Very, very natural.
Not contrived at all. No, but just pulling this together at all. And here's our position on the whole thing. We've got this NDP motion in front of the Commons right now to basically side with the jihadis. And here's Melanie Joly tweeting out about, it says, in the West Bank, we met with President Abbas to discuss the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, the future governance of the Palestinian Authority, and the work to advance a two-state solution, which is what the jihadis are pushing for. Now, mind you, they've already turned down like 5 two-state solutions since the whole started.
I mean, that's always been the case, right? That was never an option for them.
No. It's always been the case that they want to drive the Jews into the sea, from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. That means free of Jews. So that's what they're really after. And every time they sign a ceasefire, they just take that time to regroup, rebuild, get stronger, and then attack again. And so everybody calling for the ceasefire, it's like, well, there was a ceasefire on October 6th. They had only honored that one for a few years. Then they broke the ceasefire, and by October 8th, everybody was calling for another ceasefire and an intifada all over the West. So, Melanie Joly was, who is this lady here? I gotta look up her name again, but apparently she's the token Jew. She brought a Jew along with her to head into the Palestinian Authority and shake hands with President Abbas. Who, it's the Palestinian Authority. So he's Fatah. He's a member of Fatah, who is, another group that supported extremism, suicide bombings, this kind of thing within the West Bank. And Fatah runs the West Bank right now. Well done, everybody. It's not hard to see which side of this issue the progressives are coming down on. Unreal. And this was something else that this is what's going on in our own country here. This is something else that Dacey was tweeting out. Johnny Rotten, he says, if there was a visual representation of what immigration is doing to Canada, this is it. The LCBO store represents Canada getting stuffed to the brim by people shoving their way in. So there was a job application, apparently, a job opening at an LCBO. This is in Ontario. So it's the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, for anybody who's not been to the center of the universe before. But so this is like a cashier's job or something. And look at the lineup.
Pushing their way in too. So that kind of lineup, I would say, is reminiscent of the lineup I saw at this auxiliary police station that didn't used to exist now to get records and things. I never knew about this auxiliary police station until recently, and it had a lineup like this, like out the door, basically.
Yeah, completely insane. That's what
by appointment only now, and you can't get a damn appointment.
Incredible. And as you can see, like these all appear to be newcomers too. Like most of them appear to be of like Indian descent, maybe a couple of Africans in there. So they're very likely all newcomers. They don't pan to the left. I would like to see them pan to the left in this video so they can show how long the line is. Yeah, but if they're pushing like that, I think it's pretty safe to assume that there's just a freaking ton of people there. And here's Dacey again, and he's saying armed Khalistani protesters clashing with police and assaulting a journalist in Edmonton. If it wasn't for the double standards, we would have no standard at all. And he's retweeting Mocha Bazirgan, who's another friend of the program here. Mocha's been all over this stuff. This is we're importing these tribal conflicts from elsewhere in the world, and they're just starting up their tribal conflicts here in Canada. Oh, there goes my video again. This thing is just really bad today, guys. But we'll get it figured out.
Don't touch my camera. Don't touch my camera. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. Don't touch me. You get away from me. Don't touch me again.
Yeah, I didn't touch him. Here's the thing, though. Right?
Guy's carrying a sword. So they're confronting police. Police are telling them to get back and pushing them, and they're just coming back at them again.
With swords and daggers.
Yeah, with swords and daggers. No kidding.
And spears.
Here, yeah.
This is the mission, and it's coming very close, very soon. India will shatter it into minimum of 15 pieces. Minimum.
Prior to 1947, when the Republic of India became a country, the British had their British Raj, their colonial Raj, their colonial empire over the Indus land, where indigenous Punjab, indigenous Punjabis, the indigenous spirituality of the land, Sikhi, had its empire, had its Raj as well.
Wild.
Yeah, give Mocha a follow. He's been absolutely phenomenal lately. Really good video production and all that stuff too. But yeah, so they're armed. They have daggers and spears and swords all over the place. And I guess well, number one, as we can see, it's I think that India is something like, it's a former British colony. A lot of Western values took hold there. They have a common law legal system, democracy, capitalism, rule of law, all of those very Western kind of values. And the Khalistanis clearly are, their own kind of revolutionaries, I guess, with respect to India. And they seem to get a pass as long as they're against the Western valued entity, then all bets are off. And what the hell do they expect Canada to do about anything that's going on in India exactly anyway?
Yeah, and that's kind of a theme here too. What's Canada supposed to do about anything, really? We're basically a joke on the world stage. We have no military support to offer, really. We don't have, it's not like we're not nearly as rich as we used to be. Things are getting worse by the day. We don't have enough money for our people here. I don't know what people expect Canada to do about any of this.
We sent all our military equipment to Ukraine already. So, yeah, I don't know. But all right, let's get to the very important question here before I let you go, Dacey. I'm a little over my time, but not too bad. So here is Dacey's hardest hitting stuff for this week here. This is, I mean, this is the kind of question I think is on everybody's mind right now. So
Getting to the bottom of real serious issues here on Parliament Hill. Does pineapple go on pizza? We know what she thinks. Pineapple goes on pizza.
Oh, yeah.
What about you, sir? Does pineapple go on pizza?
What's that?
Does pineapple go on pizza?
The pineapple, yeah, I don't like the ham.
Yeah, see, there you go.
With black olives, and me and Steve, we do pineapple and green pepper.
Does pineapple go on pizza?
Yes.
Pineapple goes what?
No comment.
Oh, yeah. Does pineapple go on pizza?
Yes.
I like it.
we love you, but your government doesn't, is what it says on the
Yeah.
side.
That's kind of become one of our theme lines. We love you, but your government doesn't. Thanks to Steve there.
But I guess you've already stated your position on this particular issue. Like pineapple does go on pizza, right?
Yeah, I quite like it. I've been eating that for ages. I think that may have been a Canadian invention at some point. But the pineapple and like bacon, ham, any type of pork product, delicious with pineapple on pizza.
That is kind of like a very quintessential, I think. Well, it's a Hawaiian pizza, isn't it?
That's what they call it, but I mean that's like I don't think it was a Hawaiian thing, as far as I know. I haven't done the deep dive yet, but that's what I've been told anecdotally from the comments.
Yeah, and it's usually like Canadian bacon with pineapple, and we call it a Hawaiian pizza, but it's probably Canadian.
Yeah, I'm just about ready for lunch on that note.
Okay, yeah, good time to call it, I guess. All right, guys, that brings us all the way back to Aristotle, and he says, at his best, man is the noblest of animals. Separated from law and justice, he is the worst. Yeah, and it's not hard to see how that breaks down along the political lines right now, and we are seeing kind of the worst of humanity come out in all of this. Look no further than Deanna Sharif, and then there's the best of humanity as well, such as our favorite muckraker, Chris Dacey. Man, thanks for coming on with us today here, brother. It's always a pleasure. I'll throw it to you for a final thought before we break for lunch.
Yeah, so if people want to know more about what's happening with that Norman Blanchfield case and Ottawa Police Superintendent, follow me. I'll have more on that coming on Wednesday. And sounds like there's going to be quite the April 1st carbon tax protest shaping up. So maybe next week we can hit on what's getting prepared for that. So follow me for more information there.
Outstanding. Yeah, I'm looking forward to April 1st, guys. Not because of the tax, but because of the tax revolt. That does seem to be changing all over the country. I'll throw to a couple of comments. Colleen is saying, thank you, Jeff and Chris. Have a good one, folks. Debbie is saying, now I am hungry. Yeah, me too. Cindy's saying, thanks, Jeff. Hearts, as always. Thanks, Chris. Winning. Yes, indeed. Hashtag winning. We got to steal that one from Drew, too. And Darlene says, great live, Jeff and Chris. Keep up the great lives, Chris. They are great as always. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. And let's see. The Chingadiro over on Rumble says, just me, or did the flood of migrants come into Canada after Trudeau dressed up and did the rain dance on the India stage? No, I think that's part of the strategy as well. To destabilize the West is to bring in just hordes of unvetted migrants from all kinds of countries who hate us and have extremely high crime rates. And then we'll just kind of weaken and implode on our own. You chew up too many resources. And two-tiered policing, obviously, one side is policed and the other side is not. That kind of thing. It's all part of the destabilization agenda. I think it's been in place. It's really been going on since the 2015 migrant crisis. After the fall of Libya, especially in Europe, it's just really taken longer here to get where we are because of the ocean. But yeah, all right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Dacey, thanks, brother, for joining us, man. Another great muckraker in the books, and we'll keep an eye on your X feed, I guess, for updates this week. And to everybody who tuned in today, stay frosty and stay safe.
Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption songs.